and welcome and thank you for tuning in to 5 Live. I'm Suyesha Savant and our all-out focus on the kidnapping that happened in Mumbai. Remember, children who were kidnapped in broad daylight by a man who is allegedly a YouTuber. Now, he had called these children in Powai in Mumbai on the pretext of auditioning them for a web series. What happened instead, about 80 children who arrived, while some of them who were allowed to go, about 15 of them who were held captive by this man. Now, while the cops say that all the children have been rescued safely, the focus now is on who this man is. What was the motive behind that kidnapping? Is he mentally unstable, or is there more than what meets the eye? This is exactly what happened in Mumbai, a news that got parents worried, and many of these children who were in Powai in Mumbai to actually give an audition for an upcoming web series. But it was a man who called them to audition them, instead kidnapped them. We have some eyewitness accounts coming in of how this entire kidnapping unfolded and what they had seen about the kidnapper. Listen in.
रोहन ना उसने बचा क्या हुआ तो आप साइड पर साइड में बताइए इंसिडेंस क्या होता है, आप कहाँ पे?
एक्सीडेंट भी होता है, हम लोग बाहर खड़े थे, चाय पी रहे थे, अचानक पुलिस की तमाम गाड़ियां सारण बजाते आई। हम लोग बोले क्या हो गया, हम लोग भी भागे पीछे, पता चला महावीर क्लासिंग में कुछ बच्चे किडनैप करके लोग बैठा के रखे हैं। फिर आए हैं सर मैं यही मौजूद था इसलिए बता रहा हूँ।
बोलिए।
उसके बाद जो है पुलिस आई तो हम लोग भी पुलिस के पीछे भागे। आके देखो तो पुलिस ने सारा गेट बंद कर दिया, जो अंदर गए, लेकिन बाद में पता चला कि उनके बच्चे जो किडनैप, उनके गार्जियन बाहर खड़े थे, लोग रो रहे थे। हम लोगों ने पानी नहीं पिलाया, पूछा रो मत, पुलिस आ गई है। लेकिन एक बात है, पवई पुलिस ने बहुत स्पीड में काम किया है। पवई पुलिस सीनियर साहब डीसीपी साहब को मैं देखा कि मतलब बिल्कुल सबको संभाल लेते सिचुएशन को। बच्चे शायद एक माँ से पूछा तो बोले हम लोग नांदेड़ के हैं, बच्चे नांदेड़ से आए थे, सब बम्बई के बाहर के थे, और जो कुछ 17 बच्चे थे। जो डायरेक्टर था उसका नाम था रोहित आर्या।
और उन्होंने पहले कुछ बच्चों को छोड़ दिया था, ऐसा कुछ था?
नहीं ये तो मुझे नहीं मालूम है। अभी नहीं, देखो बच्चे निकल रहे हैं, आप देख लो सर। लेकिन
बोल दे
मैं रोहित आर्या। सुसाइड करने की जगह मैंने एक प्लान बनाया और कुछ बच्चों को इधर हॉस्टेज रखा है। मेरे को ज़्यादा डिमांड्स नहीं है, बहुत सिंपल डिमांड्स है, बहुत मॉरल डिमांड्स है, बहुत एथिकल डिमांड्स है। और मेरे कुछ सवाल है, मुझे कुछ लोगों से बात करनी है, उनको सवाल पूछने हैं, उनके जवाब पर अगर मुझे काउंटर क्वेश्चन है तो मुझे काउंटर क्वेश्चन पूछना है। लेकिन मुझे ये जवाब चाहिए, मुझे दूसरा कुछ नहीं चाहिए। ना मैं टेररिस्ट हूँ, ना मेरी बहुत बड़ी पैसों की डिमांड है, कुछ भी पैसों की डिमांड तो है ही नहीं, इमोरल तो बिल्कुल भी नहीं है। सिंपल कॉन्वर्सेशंस करने हैं, और जिसके लिए मैं इन बच्चों को हॉस्टेज लिया है। ये मैंने एक प्लान के तहत ही हॉस्टेज लिया है। लेट्स चेंज 4 मैं सच में करने वाला हूँ। अगर ज़िंदा रहा तो मैं करूँगा, अगर मैं मर गया तो कोई और करेगा, लेकिन होगा ज़रूर। इन्हीं बच्चों के साथ होगा अगर इनको हार्म नहीं होता है तो। बिकॉज द स्लाइटेस्ट रॉन्ग मूव फ्रॉम योर एंड विल ट्रिगर मी कि मैं ये पूरा जगह को आग लगा दूँ और उसमें मर जाऊँ। मैं मर जाऊँ या नहीं मर जाऊँ, बच्चे अननेसेसरी हर्ट होंगे, ट्रॉमाटाइज डेफिनेटली होंगे। उसके ऊपर कुछ होगा तो मुझे पता नहीं, उसका ज़िम्मेदार मुझे ना गिना जाए, उसका ज़िम्मेदार उन लोगों को गिना जाए जो अननेसेसरी ये ट्रिगर कर रहे हैं, जबकि एक नॉर्मल कॉमन पर्सन सिर्फ बात करना चाहता है। मेरी बातें ख़त्म होने के बाद मैं खुद ही बाहर आऊँगा। मैं अकेला नहीं हूँ, मेरे साथ और भी लोग हैं, कई सारे लोगों को ये परेशानियाँ हैं, और ये मैं सल्यूशन देने वाला हूँ सिर्फ बातें करके।
All right, so there you heard some eyewitness accounts and of course the video that was released by this kidnapper who is allegedly a YouTuber. We've taken you through the live action that is underway in Powai at this very location where the kidnapping happened, and of course parents who were very, very worried through what was happening. Let me cut across to my colleague Mustafa Sheikh, who is also tracking every single development on the ground. Mustafa, what is the latest you're picking up, especially in terms of how these children went in? Because usually, if somebody calls children for an audition, their parents accompany them. And in such a scenario, the parents also go with the child, or either parent goes with the child inside to the studio while the child is auditioning. In this particular case, were the parents kept outside?
Well, yes, the parents were outside this very studio, this gate which we are seeing here, and just now we saw a bus of people who left from this year. The children who were captive left from here in a yellow bus. The visual we are showing you is of outside the studio, and these parents were outside when these children didn't come out for lunch break. They were suspecting something when they tried to find out. The video of Rohit Arya came forward of this being an abduction, and the police came into action, and then they tried to negotiate with Rohit. Once it was not possible, then there was a forced entry inside the studio, and children were rescued.
So at what point did the parents discover that their children have actually been kidnapped? Were some of these children also carrying mobile phones? Could some of these children, or did they try to get in touch with their parents outside? Any news of how this man trapped those children, took away their mobile phones if they had some, and then held them captive?
What we know is that the audition used to go on from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. So whether they were carrying mobile phone inside or not is something we are not aware of. But the children didn't come out for for the lunch break is when the police knew that there was something wrong, and hence the parents informed the police, and then this incident came forward. That the video of Rohit also made the parents panic actually of what has happened.
And Mustafa, considering this is a high rise, on what floor was the audition called? Where exactly was the last point that the parents were stopped? They were not allowed to cross that point. And how did the children go on from there? Because what must be the average age group of these children?
They are said to be about around 10 to 15 years of age, and they were inside this studio when the police entered through the bathroom and then rescued these children, and there was some forceful entry. So what actually went down is something the police has not yet informed.
I'm trying to understand, Mustafa. So again, to ask you, is there confirmation on which floor the audition was happening, firstly? Secondly, till what point were the parents allowed if they were locked outside of this building? Are there residences inside this building? Were there people inside? Now, even when the video of this YouTuber was released, was it at that point that the parents realized that their children were held captive? All right, not too sure if Mustafa is still connected with us. He's trying to get us all the latest and gathering further inputs on the investigation. Remember, quick response team that is inside the studio, and that is how the children were rescued. The rescued kids who've been ushered out of that studio where they were held captive. Details also coming in of how this man has been nabbed by the cops. He was allegedly in possession of air guns and some chemicals. He is a YouTuber. Now, why exactly he did this is still unclear, but he has been nabbed by the cops. So the focus is now on trying to find out why he carried out this kidnapping. But there you see a lot of people and chaos rather that is still underway at that very spot, because worried parents trying to get their children, but they were locked outside the gate. The Powai police, as eyewitnesses say, acted very swiftly, and the quick response team that is in the studio where the children have now been ushered out. According to the Powai police, all the children are safe, they've been rescued out, and this man has been nabbed. But very, very shocking for parents, not just of those children, but parents in Mumbai and parents across, to even imagine that something like this happened to these children. They had gone to the studio to give an audition for what was advertised as a web series audition. Instead, the children were kidnapped. We have more responses coming in from top cops. Let's listen in.
जिसने ये होस्टेज करके रखा था, हमने चर्चा की कोशिश की। बाद में हमारे मुंबई पुलिस के ऑफिसर ने फोर्स एंट्री करते हुए, फोर्स का यूज़ करते हुए 17 बच्चे, एक सीनियर सिटीजन और एक सिविलियन, इन सबको रेस्क्यू किया गया है। और जिस व्यक्ति ने इन सबको बंधक बनाया था उसे अभी ट्रीटमेंट के लिए हॉस्पिटल लेके गए।
Alright, so that's the response that came in from the top cop. As we understand, the quick response team is inside the studio. That studio where this audition was called. But remember, this was only an audition in name. Actually, this man had all the intentions of kidnapping those children, exactly what he did. Now, prima facie details of how there were about 80 children who had gone in for that audition. While some of them were let out, about 15 to 20 is what this man held captive. Dipesh Tripathi, who continues to stay with us on the broadcast, getting us all the latest updates. Dipesh, while we understand that the Powai police acted swiftly and the quick response team that is inside that studio ushering out the children, but this man, has he been nabbed? Most importantly, the video that he has released, now the police say that he was allegedly a YouTuber. Any details on the motive behind this kidnapping and what he wanted? Because in the video he said he wanted to talk. What did he want to talk?
Team was also called here for to de-escalate the hostage situation over here and to secure the children, to safeguard the children. But fortunately, the Mumbai Police who were present over here before the QRT, they forced the entry into the room, into the studio, and they nabbed the accused, and they safely rescued the 17 children, one senior citizen and one civilian from that studio. In that, we spoke to the higher officials, in which we came to know that the accused has been injured in firing because he was carrying a pistol gun, but during the time of safeguarding the children, the police was not with the information that the gun which was accused is having, that was an air gun or it was a real gun. So the police is at the time of rescuing the children and at the time of de-escalating the hostage situation, the police was thinking that this might be a real gun, and he's carrying a weapon and he's carrying hostage, and he carried out all the hostage situation with the help of that weapon. So in that case, to safeguard the children's life, police tried to forcefully enter into the studio. They entered from the bathroom side of the window, and in that the accused Rohit Arya, who kept the 17 children hostage here, he got injured and he has been now taken to the hospital for the treatment. But still, why he did so, the reason is unknown, and what his motive behind this is also a big question in front of the police department. But as we spoke to the police officials, they said that once he'll get normal, they will going to take his statement and they will going to process the further investigation, and they will going to press the charges against him, and they'll definitely try to know that what exactly happened and what was the reason behind such a huge step which was taken by Rohit Arya.
Dipesh, again, few points that I'd like to understand from you. It seems like a building that is under renovation. Now, this particular studio, had he hired that studio, or would he visit it often, or was he staying there? Is the security of this building aware of this man probably coming in and out of this building? Again, because these were children being auditioned, so there is mostly a chance that they were accompanied by a guardian or a parent. Is it that the parents were not allowed to enter into that building, or were they only not allowed to enter the studio? And does this building have more residential homes? Were there other people in the building while this man held those children captive? Dipesh? All right. right, not too sure if Dipesh is able to hear me at this point, but we are really trying to get to the bottom of what may have been the sequence of events. How is it that this man managed to kidnap these children in broad daylight? And most importantly, where is it that the parents were stopped? They were not allowed to accompany their child. I want to take the same set of questions to my colleague Mustafa, who's with us on the broadcast, while we continue to stay with those pictures. Remember, these are live pictures coming in from this very building, where a heavy contingent of police personnel who are all present there as those kids have been ushered out. Mustafa, I want to understand from you, did the security of this building had any information on this man? So this particular studio that he used to allegedly hold those auditions, would he frequent this place often? Would he come in and out? Did he own this property by any chance? Were there people around who knew of this man?
Yes, so the primary facie information is that this RA studio was taken on rent by this person for last 4 days. This audition was going on. The audition was for a web series, and there were many kids who were coming for this audition in this studio. So there is a housing society just above this studio. There is a building also. But the multiple people, young children about in the age of 10 to 15 were coming for the studio, for the auditions, and it was for web series. So this was taken by Rohit Arya for this particular auditions of the web series, which company he owns and what credentials he brought to table, how he contacted these people. Who are the people who are in his company, and why he was planning to commit this act. These are things which the police are looking for answer as of now. What we saw is that first the police rescued these children, and then they have been taken out from in the yellow bus from this spot. The police is still visiting this spot and carrying out their investigations, and what went down inside this entire studio.
All right, Mustafa Sheikh there getting us the latest as one piece of relief certainly, as the children are now safe. But what exactly was the motive behind this kidnapping is what the police is trying to find out. Meanwhile, we shift our focus to an India Today exclusive. This is the biggest exclusive, the biggest news break in connection to the larger conspiracy case in the 2020 Delhi riots probe. India Today has accessed the details of nearly 400-page charge sheet that was filed by the Delhi police in the Supreme Court opposing bail to Sharjeel, Imam, Umar, Khalid and others. Sources have told India Today that the grounds on which relief will be opposed to the accused. We are learning that the Delhi police's major argument is that the accused intentionally delayed the trial and framing of charges, and hence they should not be granted bail. Further, the cops will also argue that the accused planned a nationwide stir as part of the larger conspiracy, and hence no relief should be granted to them. Let me straight away take this to my colleague Gaurav Savant, who has details of what the Delhi police is now saying.
So this is a very, very serious charge sheet that Delhi police has put together. Now, if it's able to back this in courts of law with corroborative evidence, it's a very serious charge that these were the elements who were involved in what the Delhi police calls was a regime change operation in 2020. CAA bahana tha, sarkar ko hatana tha. Words to that effect is what Delhi police seems to be painting, that kind of a very grim picture. India Today has accessed the 389-page affidavit. What is it that it says? CA, not spontaneous. Those anti-CA riots in 2020, they were not spontaneous riots. They were planned. The aim was to destabilize India. A planned attempt to target our country. A plot which was hatched to target India's territorial integrity. The plot was to weaponize dissent against CA based on false narrative. The attempt was to radicalize and incite minorities in our country, and it was camouflaged as peaceful protests. Remember what people were covering as Shaheen Bagh Dadis and the protest by Shaheen Bagh Dadis. Behind those Dadis were those elements who were trying to incite a mob, who were trying to incite Bharat Tere Tukde Honge, words to that effect, or worse, is what the Delhi police believes, or elements who were involved in breaking India at certain points that are vulnerable so that the Northeast would be cut off, or words to that effect. They had not only planned riots in Delhi and around Delhi, neighboring states, but pan-India riots were planned. Wrongfully portray India as a country that discriminates against minorities and especially Muslims. This was the plot. In fact, the fact that certain elements were unable to get bail, the Chief Justice or former Chief Justice of India has actually clarified why certain elements were not being given bail or were not being granted bail, or some of the frivolous cases that were coming up, or reasons that were coming up. All of this will be debated. All of this will, of course, have to be put through scrutiny, legal scrutiny. These are claims made by Delhi police, which they insist is backed by corroborative evidence, where they would be able to prove, according to them, that there is ample evidence to prove this was an attempt to destabilize India in the name of anti-CEA protests.
Oh yes, certainly. This is a very, very serious angle that needs to be looked into. Gaurav, I request you to stay on with us. Shrishti Ojha is also joining us on the broadcast. Shrishti, to the point where the Supreme Court deferred hearing on bail pleas of Umar, Khalid and Sharjeel Imam to the 31st of October. In fact, a bench led by Justice Arvind Kumar, who said that in bail matters, there is no question of filing a counter affidavit. How is the Delhi police likely to approach this matter?
Well, as we know, when the matter was listed before the Supreme Court on the date that the Supreme Court had issued notice to the Delhi police, the next hearing after that, we saw that no response had come in from the prosecution side, and the lawyers had appeared and sought for more time. When that happened, we saw the court make some observations, remarks, and called out the prosecution for not filing the affidavit on time, clearly stating that the court had indicated that they would like to hear the matter and dispose it off finally. The court had questioned the Delhi police, post which we saw the court grant additional time, and the matter is listed tomorrow on Friday when the court is scheduled to hear it. The affidavit has come in, has been filed today by the Delhi police before the Supreme Court, an exhaustive, detailed affidavit clearly asserting, and a big claim that has now been made by the prosecution is that the 2020 Delhi violence, the Delhi riots, it was not a spontaneous protest, but it was part of an organized regime change operation, because according to the prosecution, it was carefully crafted by these accused to destabilize India's internal harmony and international standing. And a detailed affidavit of over 300 pages we've seen. The Delhi police also detailed the alleged role of each and every accused before the Supreme Court, including that of Umar, Khalid and Sharjeel Imam, where the prosecution has gone to the extent of calling Umar Khalid the founder of the idea of Chakka Jam for these riots, and also the fact, the allegation that Khalid and Sharjeel Imam made some provocative and instigating speeches. They've also referred to specific speeches to say that speeches were made not only to instigate the population, but to terrorize Muslim population of India, to make them believe that the Indian state and constitution of India is against them. Now, the Delhi police is clear that they have uncovered some documentary and technical evidence that links these accused to the arguments that are being put forth by them, that there was a deep-rooted conspiracy which was engineered on communal lines, and the plan throughout this conspiracy, their plan was designed to strike at the very sovereignty and integrity of India by weaponizing public dissent against the CAA. This is what the Delhi police has claimed. They've also referred as far as the pace of the trial, which has been a very important topic of debate and discussion in this particular case. According to the Delhi police, the delay in trial, the so-called delay in trial, has was basically on part of the accused, which they have called an abuse of process, and deliberately delaying the trial court proceedings is what the Delhi police has claimed. Now, tomorrow it will be a crucial hearing, and we'll have to see what the Supreme Court decides. Back to you.
Absolutely, Shrishti, and we trust us to keep us ahead on every single update that comes in. For the moment, thank you for getting us the latest.